Pep Guardiola and Arne Slot faced off, and this time Manchester City managed to get back-to-back wins over Liverpool. And this was a statement from Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, as you are seeing a different emerging Manchester City. Now, Liverpool were totally toyed around by Manchester City in that game. It was domination from minute 1 to minute 90. But what fascinated a lot of us is the structure in which Pep looked to set his team up. You can see from this clip here, you can see the overall position of Manchester City players and Liverpool players. And what you automatically notice is that Pep altered his structures. As you can see, the fullbacks are the ones holding the width and everybody else is at the center. Before we even start our analysis, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe if you are new to this channel. Now, when you look at this clip here, you see the lineup that Pep Guardiola selected to this game. Interesting lineup, interesting selections, and that actually shows that Guardiola did not use the natural 4-3-3. But Slot reverted back to the 4-2-3-1, but this time a clear change was Florian Wirtz starting in that left wing position, which I found it to be quite interesting, instead of starting Gakpo over there. Now, Manchester City are looking to build in a different way than what they used to do, in that it is the fullbacks who are generating the width majority of the time, and therefore they are actually generating that overload that is required, especially to goalkeepers who are looking to play diagonal balls, especially towards the touchline areas. Number two, our forward will join in the press, where you do expect Liverpool to normally press with that 4-4, as you have seen in that structure. Now, with Manchester City, is that they wanted to create these diamonds on one side of the pitch, with Phil Foden, Gonzalez moving to that position, Haaland looking to take up a higher position so that he can pull the Liverpool backline deeper, and have Jeremy Doku and Cherki moving in that midfield. This automatically made that Manchester City always had an overload in that midfield position, since Liverpool's defense line was pushed deeper. Now you can see here, look at Manchester City. They have as many as 8 players in build-up, while Liverpool are pressing with as many as 6, meaning that it's only Liverpool's backline that is staying behind. Manchester City are committing so many players in this position so that they're able to play through Liverpool's press. And you can see here, once the ball is played to Phil Foden, he already has an option to play the ball to Gonzalez. And you can see that Manchester City have that overload where they can easily play through Liverpool. And here Manchester City received the ball, and you can see Matthias Nunes and Cherki are on the other side, and Bernardo Silva is able to play this ball quickly onto this side, and both Liverpool attack and midfield lines would have been taken out of the game. You can see here, even when Liverpool decide to press, Manchester City are already in a good position where the ball is played to Cherki. Cherki is able to throw Florian Wirtz. He's able to play the ball into midfield, and look at that space. This player in midfield is receiving that ball with a lot of space. Here again, Manchester City have the ball. Liverpool are looking to commit more players forward. Konate has even dropped to follow Erling Haaland deeper. Haaland in this case understands the situation and chooses to make runs in behind. Now in this situation, Gonzalez has the ball. Gonzalez is able to play the ball to Bernardo Silva, and now look at the position that Haaland is picking up. He was the only player who looked to play further and further away, as Manchester City wanted to overload the pitch. And when you look at this structure here, you're asking yourself, has Pep Guardiola actually moved to a situation where he does not want structured build-up? Because you don't see any structure, but you see players moving relative to ball position. Now, because Manchester City was so clinical in playing out from the back, we saw Manchester City moving into a different system and different structure, where they were looking to use wide fullbacks in this case, fullbacks who are looking to hug the touchline and be the wide outlet, and having Gonzalez, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden looking to receive the ball in between the lines, and even players like Jeremy Doku in that position. Now, earlier on, during Manchester City's earlier days, they preferred actually building with the back three, and Liverpool knew how to deal with this by putting that 4-4, where their midfield would go man to man with Manchester City's midfield. But Guardiola understood that, and even he saw what Maresca did, and knew that to beat Liverpool like this comfortably, don't play with that box midfield. just have your fullback starting out wide and then have a midfield three. And in this case, this allowed the wingers to come in narrow. And once the wingers came in narrow, Liverpool's backline would stay narrow, allowing Manchester City's fullback to even move higher up in the pitch and hold higher positions on the pitch. And this is why we saw players like Matthias Cunha finding themselves in the wide channels and players like Cherki finding themselves in their preferred half space positions. You can see here Liverpool's attack and midfield line had pushed forward to try and press Manchester City. Now, once they had looked to apply this pressure towards Manchester City, what you noticed is that Manchester City were able to play out because Liverpool were looking to swarm one side of the pitch and use the touchline as an extra defender. But the counter press that Liverpool were actually implementing was not so effective. And because of this counter press not being effective, it constantly allowed Manchester City to get this ball. And once Manchester City got this ball, they always knew they had a player advantage on the other side because Liverpool had committed a lot of players towards the ball. Because of this, Manchester City constantly found themselves in wide areas, and players like O'Reilly and Matthias Nunes constantly found themselves being able to make those overlapping runs, especially in the higher areas of the pitch. Now, let's look at Liverpool. Let's understand what Liverpool tried to do with possession and how Manchester City looked to stop them, because Manchester City was so good out of possession than they were in possession. Now, out of possession, Liverpool look to try to build from the back. And what you automatically notice is that Haaland is pressing the goalkeeper while using his cover shadow to limit the ball from heading towards Virgil van Dijk, forcing the ball to be played towards Konate because they do understand that Konate is least effective on the ball. So when Konate receives this ball, he looks to play the ball directly for a Liverpool forward who is looking to drop deep. Now, this was the problem because Manchester City was super effective in their press. They were able to cut all nearby passing channels. Here again, Ashvili has the ball, and look at how Haaland is pressing. He's stopping the ball from going towards Van Dijk because they always wanted Konate to have the ball because Konate is the least comfortable centre back on the ball when it comes to Liverpool's back four. Now, once the ball was looking to be played by Konate in field, you will see Bernardo Silva or Phil Foden intercepting that ball in those kinds of positions. Once that ball was being intercepted, Manchester City were now finding themselves in that position. Here again, look at that press. Haaland is looking to press from left to right, stopping the ball from being played to Virgil van Dijk and forcing the ball to be played towards Konate. And once Konate receives that ball, what do you see? Foden is ready to step out. So in this case, Virgil van Dijk is immediately put under pressure by Erling Haaland, and Manchester City are pressing in a 4-4-1 structure. And now the ball is played to Konate. And immediately the ball is played to Konate, Foden will press him while using his cover shadow. So what you notice is that Liverpool's structure of build-up was disrupted by cutting off Virgil van Dijk from that press. Manchester City was super impressive in the way they were looking to organize themselves while pressing, and Liverpool were totally obliterated because of their lackluster counter press as well as pressing game. If you enjoyed this analysis, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.